Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chip Johnson from Builder Designs, and welcome to this session on driving organic traffic, high conversion traffic with organic SEO. I'm here with Elizabeth Humburg, and today we're going to just sit down and talk about some of the things that we're doing and some of the things that that are being done, so that you can get a feeling for, SEO is kind of the forgotten marketing tactic. At least it feels like that sometimes, and we want to kind of bring that back out and talk about some of the things that you could be doing that can really help drive traffic that organic traffic converts the best. So let's talk about that, and let's kind of dive into that, and why is it that SEO is kind of the forgotten tactic?
I don't think it's forgotten. I think it's intimidating, and so people tend to put it on the back burner of their list of things to do. It changes constantly, so it's hard to keep up on, hard to understand in general. So it just never really rises up to the top of people's priority list, even though they know it's important.
Is it something that, I guess when you think about organic traffic, it's where do I rank for home builders in Milwaukee or whatever, or, and so you start broad, and then lots of times you've got, submarkets and all those things. And then when you're talking about the website, you've got, your homepage that has keywords everywhere, but those are the main keywords, and then you get to the secondary pages. And so, why is it, I guess the thing that I'm trying to figure out is, and we've struggled with this before in the past with certain home builders going too broad on keywords, like new homes in Milwaukee, for example. That's too broad. So when you're starting out and talking with clients, what's the roadmap look like? I mean, what do you start with?
Well, most home builders come to me with some sort of keyword in mind that they really want to rank for. And so my job is to really find out what is strategically the best move. It's usually not that keyword, and it's usually something that they're Googling themselves. And so just trying to help them understand that every single person's Google search is going to be different. It's going to be based on your device, your precise location, your search history, who you are, your analytics. Google knows a lot about you. And so what we look at with SEO are averages. And we tend to focus on the areas in which you're selling. So looking at the average mobile, the average desktop in those areas, and really pinpointing what the main keyword you should be focusing on, and even more importantly, the specific cities in which you're building. Because most people aren't going to Google an entire metro when they're focused on a certain suburb. So keying in on those terms and making sure that we have a landing page dedicated to those terms that we can optimize.
How important is architecture? Site architecture, because we have some clients that we do SEO for that we don't do the site.
Yeah.
I mean, are there things in there that that make it more difficult to really effectively do SEO?
Yes. It's best if you have your homepage and then either a metro area, or if you just go right down to cities and then below metro, whatever cities you build in. And your URLs should all reflect that. I have builders that don't do that. You can still get great results and everything, but it does make it a lot easier, and you can rank a lot higher if you have a good site architecture to work on.
Right. So I guess, to maybe step back a little bit, step one is an audit of where you rank, what you want to rank for, and then what you should rank for, because those aren't always lined up. What you want to rank for, the vanity metric, new homes in Milwaukee, or, that's super broad. And sometimes you're competing against the nationals, resell. There's a lot of things to factor. And so, how do you convince somebody who wants to rank for a keyword that isn't really the one they want to rank for? How often does that happen?
Well, builders always have something in mind that they want to rank for, and what I use to convince them otherwise is always data. That works better than just words. I show them the data that there's certain terms that do get better search volume, or less competitive, are more relevant to what they sell, and are probably what their buyers are actually searching for. At the end of the day, all home builders want to sell homes, so usually they see the kind of the thought behind the strategy, and realize that, especially once it starts going, that is actually getting them better leads than maybe a broader vanity metric. Right.
So the roadmap from, starting day one, the audit, and then here's what we do. What is the here's what we do piece? How do you, what are the things? Is it just all on page, or do you go off page as well?
Both. Yeah, SEO encompasses quite a bit. So the first thing I do is on page and look at kind of the low-hanging fruit, like the meta titles, meta descriptions, the headers on the pages, what those say, and even things like alt image text really influence search rankings quite a bit. And people don't really know that those alt tags makes a difference, but they do. And then even down to the text itself, customizing that to make sure that it uses your keywords, but in a natural way. You never want to do keyword stuffing or anything like that.
Right. And so we've got some examples of copy that that we've written, that you've written, that, you know,
Yeah.
the kind of copy, because there is a balance of being something that, you know, you actually would read what Google or the bots are reading.
Right.
I mean, there's a balance there too, and it's kind of hit and miss sometimes on, you know, what's that right balance of good content, sticky content, whatever that is. So those are all things, you know, so I guess if it comes back to it, you know, at the beginning of this whole, the reason why SEO has become kind of forgotten is because it's time intensive.
Yes, it is.
And you've got to be dedicated. It's not just in and out. You're in it all the time. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that is true. And just a lot of things are trial and error. Like when you write that text, put it in there and then wait and see what happens after a week. Are there major changes up or down in your search rankings? I've put in copy that I think is going to really help the website, and it does quite the opposite. So really just getting in there and trying things and seeing what works, and then because we only work with home builders, for us applying it to other builders as well, the things that do work.
Yeah. Okay. So does the same thing work for all builders? I mean, or is it specific to product and location and you know all
Yeah,
that?
some things do and some things don't. Yeah, it depends on product, location, buyer. Like a high-end custom buyer is going to be a little bit different than a first-time home buyer maybe. So just that, I mean, that kind of all goes back to keyword strategy and what are these people searching for, and how do they begin their search? Are they searching for images on Pinterest first, or are they searching just, you know, a new home near me that they want to move into right now? And yeah, just aligning those builders with their targets.
So step one, the audit, understanding what you should be ranking for, optimizing the site on page,
Yes.
which is everything that is on the pages of the website, H1s, H2s, title tags, alt tags, all that stuff. Then sit back and wait a month.
No, well, for that stuff, I mean, you want to do other stuff while you're waiting. But,
Okay. So what are the things that you're doing while
Yeah.
we're waiting for the results to come back out?
One more on-page thing is blogging.
Okay.
A lot of builders ask me if they need a blog. I recommend blogs, and make sure quality is always better than quantity, but make sure they're decent-sized posts. Think about what your buyers want to know, like what kind of questions are they asking you, and really try to use your blog to address those, and see it as a resource, because ultimately that's what Google wants. They want you to be a good resource for your buyers. So the better kind of content like that you have, the higher you're going to rank. And blog, I'd say at least once a month. You don't necessarily have to do it like weekly or anything, but yeah, a nice blog once a month that you can then share on social, put an email blast out about, and yeah, just promote in general is always good, and fresh content Google likes.
Fresh content. So we talked about long form blogs, and so explain what a long form blog is and why that's important.
Yeah, we like to do long form blogs. Those are typically blogs that are about twice as long as normal blogs. I'd say 1,500 words or longer, and really kind of dive into a topic that the builder's interested in. Like I do, a school district that's in a highly desirable area of town, or just moving to that area. Does that city get a lot of out-of-towners from California? What do those people want to know when they move there? And just writing a blog focused for that.
So it's not always product based. It's not about the plan, the community, inventory, whatever. It's where you're going to be living.
Right. Yeah. It's very much location based, and just being a resource for your customers, just finding out what they want to know.
Do you find that you need a copywriter to write good content, or is it something that anybody can create that?
I would recommend a copywriter, but I mean, it definitely depends on who you have on staff. Good writers are usually easy to spot. So if you have somebody who can write good quality blogs and knows the topic, then have them write.
So we'll have some long form blogs that we can show people, so they can just take a look at that and see what that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the next thing, once we get everything done that we can do on site, on page, then we go off site, and that's
Right.
where it gets hard.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we know. Link building is, I mean, it can be a nightmare to get it going, but once you get it going, it's gold. So
Yeah.
talk about how
Yeah,
link
definitely.
building happens.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do think that SEO is entirely just about your website, but it's really not. It's about your complete digital footprint across the internet, basically. And so one of those things is visibility, just making sure that you're listed everywhere online. Your consistent name, address, phone number, contact information, anything like that are listed in reputable directories, data aggregators, even voice search engines is becoming more and more important. So making sure that if somebody asks their GP, in their car, like model homes near me, that your model home pops up there.
And how do you do that?
We enter that information in all of those directories and voice search engines, and that's just another little thing about SEO that's labor intensive and people don't want to do it. And I mean, since we do it all the time, we just have processes for.
Is there like a list of directories that you can go for voice search that you can populate?
Yeah, there's 5 major voice search engines right now, so submitting your information to all of those.
Okay. One of the things that we want to do in this discussion and some of the other ones that we're talking about is really provide people with an executable roadmap of here's how you could go do this.
Yeah.
We know that it comes back to execution and staying in it, and it's not a sprint. It's a long-term commitment. But at the same time, we want to give people the tools to go do that.
Right.
And if they need help, then they can ask for it. But I just like going. I've been to SEO conferences before where it's all theory and they don't give you any action items to walk away and go. In link building especially, people keep that a secret. They don't tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Even us telling you how to do it doesn't make it easier to do, because building the media list, which is where the destination of the content goes, that's the hardest part of all. So talk about the media list and how we develop that.
Yeah, well, the way we develop links is more of kind of a white hat way. I know everyone has heard about different link schemes out there. And so what we do is really try to get links in reputable publications. And to do this, you have to reach actual real journalists. And so we have a PR expert who finds the contact information for journalists in your area, that even ones that are specifically focused on real estate, she's able to find those and basically have their contact information. So when you have a community opening or win an award, she can write a press release and send that out to them. And we have really good luck getting those picked up, sometimes in multiple spots. We'll have a slide that shows that. But those are great ways to get your name out there, a link out there, and just the reach is huge because people will share those posts as well.
And so the mechanics of link building is you've got content that speaks to who you are, what you do, where you do it, right? Just in general terms. And then you find somebody who is, whether it's a local resource, a newspaper, builderpr.com, whatever that is, and you convince them to post your content. They post that, and in that content is a link that comes back to the website. That link authority, the higher, the domain authority, and so let's talk about that for a second. Domain authority of the site that it's on, linking back to you is important too, because if you're linking from cars.com, it's different than the builder vertical. So talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, domain authority is a metric invented by Moz that basically shows how reputable Google sees you. So a company that's been around for 50 years and is a household name is going to have an extremely high domain authority. Somebody who starts a website today is going to start out at 0. They're not going to have any authority. And so you basically build your reputation over time by getting other reputable sites to link to you, for people to come to your site and visit you for longer periods of time. And so over time, building that reputation. So that's what we help builders do, is get those links to build their reputation. Whether it's a new builder, a builder who's been around for a while, there's always room to go up. I mean, only Google is 100, which is the highest domain authority.
We do see builders that have been around for a while that have a low domain authority.
That's true.
And so, it depends what you've been doing in the digital space that time too.
It does.
And we see some that are younger, that are more aggressive from a marketing standpoint, they have higher domain authority.
Yeah.
But domain authority doesn't necessarily guarantee high ranking. So, there's just a lot of stuff that's kind of up in the air. the point that I'm trying to make is that you need to be linking from a site that has a fairly high domain authority
Right.
of at least 30,
Yes.
right?
I'd say so. Or if it's lower, it has to be really locally relevant, like a popular blogger in your area or something like that. But yeah, you really want a higher domain authority, especially press sites.
So when Kathleen finds these sources that she gets them to post for them, where does she start? Like, is she just, Google?
Right.
I mean, what's her process look like?
Well, she knows how to write press releases because she's a former reporter. But beyond that, she also knows how to communicate with journalists. Like,
Okay.
are they looking for a story pitch? How to approach them? Are you going to annoy them by phrasing it this way? And just kind of the subtleties of outreach. And so that's what she does, and also tries to find out what they're actively trying to build stories about, what their focus is, and trying to match that up with the topic she's writing about.
Okay. So how many, let's say that somebody decides they want to start a link building campaign and they
Right.
want to do 2 links a month. I mean, how hard is it to get that done?
It can be difficult. Back to Kathleen's strategy of approaching the press, you definitely don't want to pester them or overwhelm them. Another tactic can be finding highly reputable industry resources where you can publish guest articles or blog or something about that. I will say, never buy links. All builders ask me this, like, oh, I got an email saying this. Can I just do this? It's so easy. Please don't. We have clients who come to us who clearly have bought links, and we can get those off and we can help them recover. But I do find that builders who buy links will always have spammers come back to them. So basically, forever you'll have a continual process of having to remove spammers month after month from your site.
Right. So Google has, an algorithm. Well, they have. How many algorithm updates has there been this year?
Okay, so nobody has an exact estimate for 2019 or 2020. It's anywhere between 3 and 10,000.
Okay, 3 and 10,000 updates to
3,000 and 10,000, so not actually the number 3.
Okay, so basically the algorithm is their formula of how they determine your relevance for a given search term. So what they are continually doing is updating that to make it really more about, I Googled new homes in Austin and I find a website, I click on it and I stay there. That tells Google that gave me the result that I was looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
If I do that and I click on it and it wasn't what I wanted, I leave.
Bounce,
They know that, so we call that bouncing. And so the algorithm is designed to really fine tune and kind of tighten up that whole thing. And that's the problem. If you're following all the algorithm updates and you're, if there's 3,000 or whatever it is, it's really hard to kind of adjust your marketing around that, correct?
Yes, and all algorithms affect different industries differently. So home building is not necessarily going to be affected by even some of the major algorithm updates that you hear about, but then you won't hear about anything. And, my SEO metrics for all my builders are going crazy. So I think being able to look specifically at the industry and just the data itself and not get all your news just from SEO publications that are talking about algorithm updates, that's really the thing. I think just keeping in tune with your data and seeing how Google is affecting that from day to day.
So when you're looking at it, your builder data, how often are you looking at that?
All the time. I check my builders every single day. And I also look for trends between the builders to see, is this something that's unique to one builder, or is this happening to all of them? And then if it's one builder, I go back and see, what was it I did? Did I add new page content to them? And, was that the problem? And so then that's my continual adjustments to make up for whatever the algorithm changes were.
Every day, huh? Wow.
But
That's
for
fun.
me, I like it. It's fun.
You're just kind of
it's like my weird niche.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, SEO. It when it works, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because
it's great to see.
when you get that kind of traffic, and we're going to get into that here in a second, we're going to talk about some results, because all of the things we're talking about so far are all here's things that you need to do to get a result, and the result that we're going to talk about is organic traffic,
right.
And then the leads that we generated from that, and what builders have got. So you want to get in and talk about some of the results
Sure.
we've got?
Yeah, let's do it. So this first builder is a high-end custom builder in the San Antonio area. And this builder came to us directly from another SEO agency that was doing some pretty shady things on their website. And I could tell, I mean, I talked to this other agency and they seem totally reputable. Their website's nice. They have lots of high-end clients, supposedly. But they were doing their link buying and they were artificially inflating the client's traffic so that it looked like they had higher organic numbers than they did. And I was able just to figure out that that was happening through a variety of back-end things. But since that time, I've been able to get rid of all of those spam links, and that builder has gone to position, I believe, 98 for San Antonio custom home builders to number 8 in about 6 months.
Okay.
So, I mean, for them, I think that's incredible results and kind of shows how much they were probably being penalized for Google for their search rankings because they're
How did you
pushed
find
down
the
there.
rank? How did you find the links that were bad?
I have special tools that show you and like which links link to your website, and actually that's something that you can look at in Google Search Console if you don't have any fancy SEO tools or anything. And so in Google Search Console you can just visit those sites and it's pretty obvious which ones are spam and
So
which
how do you
aren't.
get them to remove the link?
You have to figure out who owns that domain, which is another long process. There's
Okay.
different specific search engines that help you find out who it is, and most of the spammers try to cloak their identity, so it can be kind of like a detective search to find out what their email address actually
Okay.
is. I've been surprised that I've had luck in getting them to remove it, but I think they do this because if they don't remove it and I report them as spam, then their whole website has to go down and they start from scratch. So
Okay. So
That's
you
an
ask
interesting
nicely, and they
They
and then
do.
you threaten them, and then they take it down.
yeah.
So so you said before that some of those links will reappear because link farms link to each other, and it's just kind of perpetuates.
Yeah.
So now the builder that we're talking about, they had engaged this company for how long had they been doing link building for them?
I'm not at least 6 months, and I think they
Okay.
had engaged other companies before that who were doing similar.
And how many
practices.
how many bad links did they have?
Oh, a lot. Their profile was almost, I want to say like at least 25% spam, which for most builders you want 1% or less is what I tolerate.
Okay.
So it was really bad.
So I mean, as part of the audit, every builder that we work with on SEO, we go in and look at their link profile to find out if they have bad links, because that's step one, in addition to the keywords we want to go for in the first place, because structurally having bad links is a real, that's black hat, and that's a huge signal to Google and the algorithms and all of those things. Okay, so, and I know that in this specific builder, the owner had given up on SEO, and he just didn't believe that it was worth it, and he had felt like he was just throwing money into a black
Right.
hole and not getting anything out.
Which I can see why.
And-
he was.
So, were you able to convince him that it's a worthwhile enterprise?
Yeah, I mean, I always have clients that at first are, contact me constantly and want updates or, challenging what I'm doing and everything, and I have to show them what's going on. And I almost never hear from him. I send him my reports and show him the results, and he's just like, keep on trucking,
Okay. Well, sometimes they don't want to know. They don't want to
Well,
get the weeds.
I think it's building trust, and I mean, because there are so many shady agencies out there that once they see that it's actually working and their data matches up with what you're showing them and they can see the results. And I think also when they feel the results, like one of the best parts of my job is getting builders to tell me, like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that we're getting more phone calls and better phone calls. And they're like, everyone in the office is noticing that. And so I think that's what makes the difference is that they actually are feeling the results.
Well, so for example, the builder we're talking about, he started getting more, he was ranking better for his keywords, and then he starts getting more traffic. Like what does that traffic look like? The improvement, like how much did he get improved in traffic?
Ooh. So this home builder, it's interesting because their organic traffic shows that it's actually down 13% from this May versus last May. Yet, if you look at the bounce rate, the site engagement, and the goal conversions, all those are up significantly. The numbers are down because the previous agency was artificially inflating their organic numbers, as I mentioned. And another indicator besides the ones I had found before of this is that the quality of the traffic is so much better now. So their pages per session is up 13%, average session duration 27%, and most importantly, their conversions are up 215%.
So conversions being defined as form submits, phone calls. What all are you tracking on conversion?
Yeah, people actually taking action and contacting the builder.
So he's got to be happy, and have they continued to make ground in other submarkets, or is it just mainly in San Antonio?
For sure. No, they build in other areas too, in some high-end communities, and so we track all of those too, and it's just up across the board.
Okay, so you start in San Antonio. So do you start with one keyword and focus on that, or do you start like with 3 or 4 and do them all at the same time?
Well, I usually have one main focus keyword for that builder with variations of that I also track, and then kind of go beyond there. So I always focus on the specific cities in which they build, and that goes back to the keyword strategy and just pinpointing all of the ones that in which they build.
Yeah, right. So long tail keywords, because I know that's one of the things that you look at. You've got, and a lot of people don't really know how long a long tail keyword is, but give example of a long tail keyword in the submarket in San Antonio.
Sure. Luxury custom home builder in Boerne, Texas.
Okay, so there you go. And so the idea is the search volume on that probably isn't high, but the ones that do that and search for that and they find you, that's a high quality lead.
Yep.
Right? So that's why it converts so much better.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about all the keyword strategy, you've got to have those long tail keywords that are very precise.
Right.
And therein lies the whole strategy behind that. So, okay, let's move on to the next builder. And I know this guy. We don't do his website.
No, he has a buddy that does his website. And
Yep.
They're not going anywhere. They're friends. So.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a custom back end that's complicated, and I don't know that we necessarily would want to do that website, but that's okay. We can help them with SEO. So talk about some of the things that make their situation unique.
Yeah, so they came to us a year ago, and they're a custom builder in Ohio, and they weren't the top custom home builder, but they had been around since the 1970s, and so they had kind of a word of mouth reputation. And our job was basically to help get people online to find out about them and not just, outside word of mouth. And so we did Google Ads for them as well, or we are doing Google Ads for them as well, and we're doing SEO. And so they started out page 2 or 3 for a lot of terms, and they have been consistently #1 for their top term custom home builders Ohio for months and months now.
Okay.
And they've stuck in that #1 spot, and then all their other sub keywords have just gone up since then as well.
Okay, so their overall traffic across the board is up.
It's up, yep.
What does the improvement in organic traffic look like?
Yeah, so this May versus last May, they're getting about 68% more organic users to their website.
So what is that number? What is the actual number?
Yeah, so let's see, that's 19,000 this May versus 11,000 last May.
Okay.
And since last May, they've also actually expanded into Kentucky. So not only, they weren't content now dominating Ohio, so we're building a campaign for them to, build in Kentucky. And that's always interesting too, and kind of a good segue to our next builder is how do you start out at the bottom and kind of build your way up?
Because they had nothing in Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, they just bought some land, decided to start developing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
They're still only a few months in, but already, we built a Google My Business profile for them, which is pretty important, and then just built everything up from there. And we're tracking every day and just trying to build them up.
Are we doing link building for them, and what all are you doing for them? Okay, so the whole line yards.
We're doing blogging for them. We build links for them. We've done definitely some press releases for them, and then just the on-site content. Google My Business is huge for them. Usually you need a model home location with regular staffed hours. Their model home isn't finished yet they have a trailer that they've somehow been able to receive mail at. And so that's been the key, is getting that Google My Business profile up there so that when people are searching, that's been really helping them show up.
So the next builder, what's their story?
So this is a builder in DFW, which there are so many builders in DFW. It's a very, very competitive market. And this builder is a brand new builder too, so it has to compete with not only national builders, but local builders who have been in this market for a long time. And so
DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, for those that are not from the
sorry,
Midwest.
Dallas, Fort Worth.
And that's a big, I mean, that's a pretty big footprint right there.
It is a big footprint, and it's growing really fast, and there's a huge demand for homes, which is one reason why everybody's trying to become a builder there. And so this builder, the challenge is to start them at zero. We also built them a new website at the same time, but even before that, we're working with our WordPress website to just build them up in the rankings as fast as possible. And we set goals at the beginning to double their organic traffic in that time, and we did that. We doubled we more than doubled it. And their Google My Business traffic, we've more than doubled that as well. And then their search rankings too, a brand new custom builder, brand new regular builder. So if you look at this slide, they're going to be the green line, and they started at the bottom below. This is Beazer and D.R. Horton. And if you don't know D.R. Horton, which if you're a home builder, you probably do, because they're one of the biggest in the nation. But so this brand new builder, their keyword strength is neck and neck with D.R. Horton right now. And this is after 6 months.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And how? How did that happen?
So we did a lot of help with them as they got their new website, designing copy for them that really targeted the right keywords and getting that on the website. And then at the same time, we built out Google My Business locations for them, not only at their main business location, but all their model homes. And we're actively maintaining those, posting to those. And also we were writing 2 blogs a month for them. And so they were SEO blogs, meaning they were very focused on long tail keywords. And so basically they had kind of SEO from all angles, and link building as well, of course, and press releases. So I was kind of impressed with how quickly they increased as well. But yeah, 6 months in DFW, and they're a force to be contended with.
Well, that's great. And so you don't have to be an established builder to get results. So that's good to know.
Right.
It all comes back to the strategy and then implementation. So
Yeah.
The last builder, now I know this builder really well, and the reason why this builder stands out to me as being kind of a cool case study is they're huge. They're in 5 states,
Yeah.
and they had, big footprint, several thousand homes a year. The reason that they came to us was because the owner of the company wasn't finding their ranking number 1 for his hometown.
Yeah.
And went to the marketing director and started throwing a fit, and so they called us.
Yeah.
And we had done nothing other than the website for them at that point. So take it from there and kind of walk through, what that whole account looked like.
Yeah, I started working with them maybe about 1 month before the website launched, so enough time to do a little bit of copy, but after they launched their website, I went and kind of revisited a lot of their copy and implemented their keyword strategy, which was pretty immense because they do build in 5 states. So that's, state keywords, city keywords, just a whole bunch of them. And every single one of those city pages, making sure it was optimized for those keywords. And that helped, and then beyond that, helping them build a consistent Google My Business presence for all of those communities. I mean, they have a ton of communities. And the problem that they had, which is really typical of larger builders, is that their sales agents were setting up their Google My Business locations. And so because different ones were doing that, their brand was completely inconsistent across the board. Even the way the locations were named were different. The category of business was different. And so I basically took control of all of those, made the brand consistent, made all the information consistent, did all my SEO stuff, adding photos and good descriptions and regular content. And since that time, you can see from the slide, but their Google My Business traffic has gone from, I think, like less than 200 to it's at, I think, over 200% times that. And it continues to grow as well. It's not something that's just leveled out over time. It's continuing to grow. And the thing about Google My Business traffic is that we see that the conversion rates and the engagement rates are even higher than normal organic traffic rates.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that they had a really big month, and even with COVID happening, they were able to. Didn't they have the biggest traffic month they've ever had?
They did, and and you can see from the slide, like their organic numbers compared to last year when there wasn't COVID are significantly up, and they just had a great month in sales and traffic, and like I said, they haven't plateaued yet, so they're still growing.
Good. And so is the owner happy that he ranks for his main keyword?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
Okay, good. Yeah, so that's interesting. It really the whole key, and I know that we touched on Google My Business, and I know you're a big fan of that,
Yeah.
and I mean that's kind of that's one of those things where that's a key part of the whole strategy, right?
Yeah, it's
And
important.
so that's something that it's worth spending time in that application because it's Google's product.
Yeah,
They love it, and if the traffic is converting at that rate, it's something that you need to.
definitely.
I know there's some secret sauce in that, so Um,
He's like, don't say it.
well, I mean,
No, I'm just kidding.
it's you found it. I mean,
Yeah.
people can find it. It's not like it's impossible to figure out.
Right, and the secret sauce isn't. I mean, I'd say maintain it, post weekly, post new photos. Google wants you to use it as a platform to engage with your clients. So if you have events, promos, put it up there because it'll show up in Google search results first, and Google reads that and interprets your search results as and boosts you up in the rankings if they align. So.
Yeah. So as we wrap this whole thing up, SEO is not dead. It's alive and well,
No.
and it just may not be as popular as it once was because it used to be really easy.
Right.
You could game the system and get results. Well, it's not that way now. But the key thing is develop a roadmap and then stick to it.
I'd say so, but adjust if necessary also. Develop your strategy and make sure it's customized to you, not just a general SEO strategy that could be applied to anybody. And just keep working, keep up with Google updates. I'd say just always do what Google tells you almost. Don't try to trick Google because they will catch up with you, and just be a good business that tries to communicate with your customers. That's essentially what Google wants. So that's good SEO.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think that's a wrap for us.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for checking us out. And if you have any questions, we'll put our email addresses up here so you can email Elizabeth directly and ask her some questions or set up a time to talk. So thank you very much, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.